Sean Brady, it looks like, I think ESPN had reported this, is going to take on Belal Muhammad. Now, Sean Brady, of course, coming off that big win over Michael Chiesa, and then you had Belal Muhammad beating Vicente Luque and a bunch of other folks recently as well. Belal Muhammad, a guy I have slept on but has really proven me wrong, proven to be a force at 170 pounds. Brady, I've been high on for a very long time. Chuck, your sense of this matchup and what is at stake?
It's a great fight, actually. I think that sometimes when, with Belal especially, I know he wanted that fight with Hamzat, right? Like you want to kind of punch up, you want to go up towards where you're wanting to go. But I actually think this fight kind of makes some sense from both sides. I like the idea of Sean Brady getting, like, he's getting the guy that he wanted. But I think where he's stationed at 5-0, this is one of those old school matchmaking things, because you have a guy who's 5-0 in the UFC against a guy who's won 7 in a row. It's momentum against momentum. I don't really know who was a better name for Belal to actually face that would be available. I actually think that Sean Brady has some good juice right now, like, because of where he's at. Like, he's looked very good in his last couple of fights. That Jake Matthews one, I mean, like, the way he dominated that one before, I was like, that was an eye-opener. So I think that he's got some good juice in that sense. I don't think Belal loses anything. It's not a crab-wise motion to beat a guy like Sean Brady. I think it actually makes a very big declaration that that you are the guy, who wants that title shot, should get that title shot next. Awesome fight, man. I think Sean Brady, I'm sure, have you done like one of the breakdowns for him? Like, have you watched him critically in terms of that sort of thing? Or, because I feel like I have not
put together I haven't put together a presentation on it, but yes, I've watched critically and talked with him privately about it.
Yeah, I mean, I find him fascinating. I think he's good everywhere. I know they call him Brick House. Like, he just looks like he can go for days. I feel like he's super strong. I don't know if it's conveyed in his fights, but I just feel like if you were actually sparring against a guy like that, I think you'd be like, Jesus. It just looks like that guy. So I feel like I want to see more of what he's capable of, because I feel like he will go on a big run. And who better, honestly, than to take a guy like Belal, who's that tough, who's on a good streak. I feel like this is a test, man. And so when they made this fight, I knew it was going to happen. I thought it was a really good piece of matchmaking.
Well, I got to tell you, we had Michael Chiesa. We have a Room Service Diaries coming out with Michael Chiesa, which, by the way, the fans are going to love, because he drank beer the whole time, and it was a whole thing. I mean,
love that dude. Yeah,
it was awesome. And Michael Chiesa at 170 is a big, strong dude. Like, you see him in person, you're like, damn, my man's been in the weight room, And we asked him, like, what was so hard about fighting Sean Brady? Because, dude, Michael Chiesa had success on the feet in that fight, but couldn't do shit in the grappling. And he was like, dude, he couldn't believe how strong Sean Brady was. Couldn't believe. And so think about that for a second. Like, remember, this is the guy in Chiesa that hit the one-arm Kimura on Carlos Condit, like, with his huge back and everything. And Brady was, like, so strong to him that it was overwhelming. Like, Brady must be crazy strong,
Yes.
But, dude, I'll say this about Belal Muhammad. He always comes in shape, and he knows how to win rounds. He knows exactly how to apply his game. He knows exactly what his assignment is from moment to moment, from sequence to sequence. He has been there with very top guys in a way that Brady has not yet. So I'll tell you this. I think Brady is the guy to win this, and it does more for Brady than it does for Belal, so I give credit to Belal for taking the fight. But it's a tough one. It's a close one. This is a real big test of exactly how far Sean Brady can go with this skill set, I think. If you can go and dominate, let's say, Belal Muhammad, it does make you think, wow, maybe he could beat Colby. Maybe he could beat or give Kamaru a tough fight or something like that.
I think you're right, and I'm anxious to see that Chiesa thing, because honestly, when I watched that fight, you kind of got that sense. And then with the Jake Matthews fight before, like, I felt like there was that existential moment when you're like, dude, I don't know. I'm not sure how to get in on that. I don't know how to beat this guy. Like, you could kind of see when it was like, he was just like, I don't know what to do with this guy. Like, how do you get out of this situation? What can I hit him with? Like, it just, and I think Matthews is really good. So the bottom line is, yes, I agree with you. I think that Belal is just he's a dog, man. He's going to bring it pressure-wise, all that stuff. But you wonder if he kind of breaks in that fight, what that does say for Sean Brady. I think that it's like perfect for Sean Brady, right? Because I don't know the rankings. I don't have them in front of me, but I believe if you want to look at the rankings and believe in it.
Yep.
The Belal is like 5 or 4. So like you're leapfrogging right in there. And I think that that's the perfect situation for Sean Brady. And it's a great thing for the division because you got now a guy who, you know, the new blood, right? The new blood coming up to kind of challenge those guys who've been up there a while.
Yeah, you're right. So Belal is currently, this could of course change because I don't know if they've updated the rankings just yet, but he currently sits at 5 and Brady at 9. Although Brady had complained to me that he was, I think after his win over Chiesa, he was something like 6 or 7. And then just due to inactivity, he kind of kept getting bumped down. But he wasn't trying to be inactive. He just, no one would take fights with him. So this is what I mean. Like Belal Muhammad is risking a lot here. Now, it's a huge win for him if he gets it, obviously, but he is risking more than what I think Brady is, and so you have to really give the guy respect for that. Dude, Muhammad has never had, like, this fucker has nothing but tough assignments in his welterweight run. I know. It really is commendable.
I hope they're greasing his palms under the table, like, hey, man, just take the fight, please. You know what I'm saying?
I totally know what you're saying. Okay, another fight that was announced. This will be for September 17th. It'll be the UFC main event, I believe, on a fight night card. Cory Sandhagen returns and takes on Sandhagen-Yadong. This was reported first by MMA reporter Marcel Dorf. Obviously, Sandhagen is a guy I'm sure you and I have pegged as someone who could be a title holder. I have a tremendous respect for his abilities. But old Sandhagen-Yadong out there has really, really turned into something special. This is a hell of a fight. Give me your sense of what you expect.
So, you know how I was talking about the momentums of the last fight, right? 5-0 versus 7-0 over the last bunch of fights. This is a weird one in the new matchmaking sense because Sandhagen-Yadong, I think, is just coming into his own, 24 years old, looking very good. And now getting an assignment where I think, you know, this is, again, one of those leapfrog moments for a guy who, if you're going to showcase, if you're going to style on somebody and you're able to do that against a guy like Sandhagen, it puts you right in there, man. But at 24 years old, he's a phenom if he does this as well. I think that people would really be paying attention to him, obviously, as a true contender. And Sandhagen is in that situation where he's lost a couple, but they're, you know, he's going against the very best of the best. So as a bounce back fight, this is a very dangerous take, right? Like he's going against a guy who could, you know, put him on a spiral where now he's lost 3 in a row, and a guy that we had, I think, the same as you, I circled him to be a champion at some point in this division, would then have to be in a huge hole trying to get out of it. It's a very tough assignment. But I love it in another sense because I think Sandhagen is a guy who's very resilient mentally, and I think that, you know, some guys get affected by losing streaks and stuff like that. I feel like he's one of those guys who would pack it into his motivation. He's going to show up in the best, you know, the best form he can show up. So I love it. Like some of these fights that are coming out, the matchmaking is awesome, and I think that this one is right up there with them, man.
To me, this is a great fight for either guy because we start with Sandhagen, right? So Sandhagen, if he wins, obviously you get into the W column. That's nice to have, but the bigger issue is that, you know, he needs a tough opponent and a respectable opponent. But it was pretty clear that because he fought Jan and he fought Sterling and he fought TJ, and I thought he won the TJ fight, but it was very close. And again, this is MMA. Like, close fights happen. Decisions don't always go the way you expect them or believe them that they should have gone. And so he has those 3 losses, and it's pretty clear. It's like, okay, you can give the championship guy. I mean, the Sterling fight didn't go very well, but you know, he gave Jan and he gave Dillashaw in particular very, very tough fights, for, you know, at least for certain stretches of it. But he was left wanting. There was a level above him that I think was pretty clear at that point. So now he needs to retool, and you don't want to go too far back. You still want a very difficult fight, but you want someone respectable. This is exactly that. This is the kind of win where you can, if you beat this guy, you can and should be very proud. It's a significant win in that division, and it gets you back on the path to really reclaiming a possible title future. So it really threads that needle in just the right way. On the other hand, if you're Sandhagen-Yadong, Cory represents something that's a little bit difficult for him. Like, Cory's movement and his stance switching and his angles and his in and out sort of style of attack, that is something I think Sandhagen-Yadong is going to have a hard time fighting. However, if he can beat a guy like that, a guy who is, I would argue, a much more modern and movement-based technician, obviously he has the power, but it would represent not just beating a very good fighter, it would represent a kind of fighter that you might, like, for example, if he didn't have the Sandhagen fight and he was taking other fights on the way up, you wouldn't really get this question answered all that much. Like, what does he do with a guy who can set angles and traps on him in the way that Sandhagen does? You beat a guy like that and you answer a ton of questions. And as I mentioned with Sandhagen, like, Song Yadong, if nothing else, and he can do a lot more, but he can thump too. He's a big, powerful guy. So you get to answer and set right a lot of different things in motion depending who you are here. Yeah, man.
By the way, like, is Uriah Faber, like, he's an agent now, too, isn't he? Like, that dude is still wearing a ton of hats. He's agent. He's still, like, still Team Alpha Male, right? Is he coaching? Like, it seems like he's up to a million things still.
Yes, we asked him about Song Yadong, and you can imagine how Brian introduced the question. I won't spoil it for you, but, Brian asked Uriah Faber about Song Yadong, and I can only tell you that it was, depending on your view of Brian's humor, either very hilarious or very cringe. So
I feel like it's real split down the middle, man. He's real split down the middle. But I love it.
But dude, he to your point, like Song Yadong has put together like great wins. He has put together like he's really turned the corner. He's still super young. This is, I mean, not just a quality opponent if he gets the win. This would be evidence of like real possible title future if you beat Cory Sandhagen.
Oh yeah, man. And 24 years old. I mean, come on. He gets into that conversation at a very young age, and I think that we don't see that as often as I think we did at one point. Like I felt like guys in their mid-20s sometimes would show up in these in big spots. I don't see it as much. It seems like most guys are near 30 now when they finally break through because it's just so difficult to do it. You know what I mean? So he'd be one of the younger guys to be in that position.